Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Kansas City and the Sprint Center and the NCAA Midwest Regional and the opening day of news conferences. Happy to welcome Coach John Beilein to the stage from the University of Michigan. Coach, it's good to see you again, and I'd like to turn to you first and ask for an opening comment on your team as you come to Kansas City.
Well, our team in the University of Michigan, we're thrilled to be part of the NCAA tournament again. We have really enjoyed over the last decade here being involved in such a great tournament and playing against some of the great teams we've played against. So Oregon would fit into that category of some of the very top teams that we've seen over the years. And Dana and I have known each other for years. It's funny, in the NABC, the way we probably both started coaching at the same time. His name's Altman, mine's Beilein. Somewhere in the NABC, the same amount of years, alphabetical order, we've sat next to each other at a lot of Final Fours, right next to each other. And so it has been, it's great to be battling against such a great coach and really a great program. So our guys have had quite a wild ride here in the last 6 weeks, where we had lost to Ohio State at home February 4th. And it was lower than low at that point for us to lose a home game to a rival. But ever since then, our kids sort of, put their back to the wall and have played really good basketball. There's been 2 losses, both one in overtime at Minnesota, one on a heroic, great play by Northwestern. And other than that, we've played really good basketball for those 6 weeks. And really couldn't be prouder of a group of young men.
All right, thank you, Coach. Let's go to questions. Remember, we have microphones on both sides of the seating area, and when you ask your question to Coach, please state name and affiliation. Who wants to go first? Coach, on your left, here on the outside aisle.
Hi, Aaron Swartz here at Sprint Center. Can you talk about your experiences playing in Kansas City at all?
Yeah, I've been here twice. We played in the NCAA tournament here in 2009, I believe. Fortunate enough to beat Clemson in the first round and lost to Oklahoma in the second round. And then one of my West Virginia teams came here and played in the Guardian. I think it was the Guardians Classic, maybe it was called. It's still called. And we lost at the buzzer to to Texas, and then lost to Kentucky. So 1-3 here. I played really good teams, but my brother and sister went to Benedictine College, Mount St. Scholastica in Atchison, Kansas. So I've been out this way before and have a lot of respect for basketball people and the great fans they have here.
Okay, Coach, we'll go to the extreme right.
John, Eric Olson with the Associated Press. 2005, your West Virginia team had airplane issues on the way to the Big East tournament at that time. A lot of parallels. I guess, how did that in 2005 affect chemistry with that team, and is it comparable to how it's affected this, just as far as this, kind of the similarities that you've had?
Well, that wasn't nearly as dangerous. That's all they had to do is they couldn't land in New York because there was an ice storm, so we had to find, and the de-icer wasn't working on the plane, so we had to find a cloud to land in Scranton. The real issue was, I think it was 6 or 8 hours to get to New York, what should have been a 2-hour drive. So we got there at 3 or 4 in the morning. But I told the story to our team several times when we'd have sudden change, because we played lights out for 3 days. And it was a story I told again to this team when we all of a sudden we said, okay, we're not leaving tonight, but we're going to 6 a.m. wake up at 6:30. We're going to leave the hotel in Ann Arbor, and we got a game at 12, and we're in our practice uniforms. And Bo Schembechler called it sudden change, and you only have one choice in sudden change, is to embrace it, because life is about a lot of sudden change.
We'll stay on Coach's right.
Kevin Haskin, Topeka Capital Journal. Coach, I'd read a story from maybe back in February where it was saying the Big Ten was down, but you had kind of predicted that the Big Ten would be representative in the NCAA tournament. I wonder what you saw then to make you think that way.
I just know the quality of the league, and I mean, we were really good the last few years. I mean, very good. And we had us in the Final Four. We had Michigan State in the Final Four. We had Wisconsin in the Final Four twice. And just because we had these great group of juniors and seniors the year before, and some guys go to pro ranks, we probably started out just a little bit in the non-conference games, not as strong as we've been. We got 14 teams now, and other teams were comparing the schedules is really apples and oranges in the beginning of the year, and so but that's the only comparison that people can make, and the committee made it as well. So you only just time is a friend of truth, and as time went on, I just figured the truth would come. If I thought we were really good, I know we have great coaches, great resources, that in time that would be the answers, and it has an answer with 3 teams, and we probably could have had more. If some teams were seated differently, maybe we have more. But the committee has an incredibly difficult job, and I'm not second-guessing them 1 minute because it is really tough to judge unless you're seeing those teams every day.
Okay, Coach, we'll come over to this side on the aisle. We'll have a mic there in just a second. Okay?
Hi, Coach. Janine Edwards, ESPN. I'm just curious, after that Ohio State loss, and you said they were lower than low, what was said? How did you try to pick them up? How did you try to use that as a teaching tool? And what was said between the players?
I think at that moment, and if I'm recalling this correctly, that was where the coaches, all of us, gave everyone and each other like a bit of a speech about we all had more in us. I mean, even the walk-ons that do not play. You have to practice harder. You never talk in practice. We need. I know there was a Super Bowl catch by, and I have to get his name, Edelin. Is that how you say his name, Edelin? Right? That was incredible. That we talked about the next day. That there was outliers on this team that we don't know who they are, but they're not going to come forward if we don't really work, and that everybody could give a little bit more, and the sum of all those parts would be enough because we were so close. You know, went to Michigan State, we lost 4-point game late. You know, we lost that game. We had been up 6 at Wisconsin with 6 to go. We lost that game. We had been up 2 with 20 seconds to go at Iowa. We had lost that game. The difference isn't much, guys, but if you all give a little bit more, right? And the point with the Super Bowl catch was that Edelin didn't, you know, he just made that, he willed that catch. And we have to will stuff to happen. And you have to work hard, and I really stress the outlier things at that time too, and all our staff did. And when you have great kids to work with, they'll believe you and they trust you.
Okay, let's go to the middle on the left.
Hi, Juliette McCurr with the New York Times. Your guys have played 1 or 2 more games than everybody else, and I think the top 2 of your guys are leading the Division I in minutes. I was wondering if you
Right?
did anything to keep them fresh, any secrets?
Well, going into the Big Ten tournament, we had a power outage before the plane didn't get off the runway, and that kept us fresh because we couldn't practice in the dark. But no, we have a sort of a formula to try and keep them fresh, and we have these thing called a catapult system that we purchased last year that's been invaluable to us. That it measures how much workload they've done every day. And they wear it on their back, and as a result, I've been able to monitor Derrick and Zach. Like they'll be 1,100 in a game, but in practices we got them at 400 or 500. In the preseason, they'd be at 1,100. So it's a great technology that we've used every day all year long, and it's really worked well. But I think that they have an understanding. We get good rotations in practice, but they're going to still play 35 to 40 minutes. And if you look around the league, or look anywhere, that's pretty common with the really good players. They're going to play 35 to 40.
What does the system measure?
Yeah, it measures their workload that day in practice.
How does it do that?
I wouldn't have the answer for that one. All I know is they give me a report of what their workload it was, and it's a little disc they have in the back of their uniform, and it's really helped us to manage that. For example, we go back before we played really well in the NIT, and our trainers were able to tell us that what Derrick Walton's workload and Zach Irvin's workload going into those games, we played well. A week later, we played South Carolina, and their workload before the game had been twice what I had done. Stuff that you don't see as a coach. You're trying to back things off. Oh, well, let's do that one more time. Let's do it one more time. And all of a sudden, you can over-practice. So that's been helpful too. But if you don't have young men too that take care of themselves, that eat right, sleep right, if they're guys that want to be the last guy, to go to bed and things like that, none of that stuff works. We got really good disciplined kids off the court.
Let's come up toward the front on the left.
Neil Best from Newsday. This kind of came up last week in Indy, and it seems to with you a lot this time of year that there's a perception for casual fans outside the Midwest, you're not as kind of appreciated as the brand name coaches, the Krzyzewski, Williams, Calipari, Patino, Boeheim. Do you perceive that, and do you care?
No, I don't care. And, our program is about Michigan, and it's about those kids. And I don't care what the perception is. I came up a lot different than everybody else and feel so blessed to be in these situations. So in our teams in the past, I don't want to be measured by those type of accolades. I'd love to be measured by what are those kids like, on the court, how they represent our university, and what are they like many years later. Not about the trophies. The trophies will come if you do the right things. So I just want to teach social studies and be a high school coach, and somehow it morphed to this. But it's really, I really want this to be about those teams and the University of Michigan.
Closing questions for Coach Beilein will go to the extreme right.
Yeah, John, Eric Olson with the AP. What is it in Derrick Walton's nature that has made him so clutch?
He came to us with a young birthday, and he has always been a young man who really deferred to others at that time. And this year, I think that, remember we were talking about a little bit more, we needed a little bit more. He took those talks seriously, whether it was from teammates urging him, saying, Derrick, you are really talented. You got to be looking for your shot. Sometimes your assist numbers are down because you're not looking for your shots, and we went to Michigan State, he never looked at the basket, and they were playing our ball screen action beautifully, right? Because we were helping them. So he's got to look at the basket to score, make people play him, and then his assist numbers will go up. So it was sort of a back to the wall thing. Derrick, we need you to score. And so he's got that mentality, and with them came great confidence. The other thing that's happened was people switching every ball screen. We may get a little chip on his shoulder. They're switching you because they think a 7-footer can guard you, right? So he took that personally, and he's really done a great job with it.
I have time for probably one last question, and we'll go here on this left, on the aisle, middle aisle.
Coach, your team's story the last 6 weeks has been so incredible and so endearing. I'm just curious, what has the reaction been for you? Have you heard from any notable people? Any people reached out to you, congratulatory, any stories like that?
Yeah, I was just talking with my AD about this today, that I try to keep my email and texts all answered. But I'm not going to share who is hit me up, but there's 200. It's not unlikely now to see 100 texts on your phone, or your emails they're coming in, in the dozens all the time. And so it's really good to the people that over all these years. You meet a lot of people, and the people that have sort of can identify with this team and appreciate what these young men have done. It's great to hear. And at some point I'll answer them all, but it's not going to be right until somebody tells me we can't play anymore, and I hope it's after a championship.
All right, Coach, thank you very much. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
It's good to see you again.